So a lot of people generally want to understand how others have completed their ACCA, and in this video I'm going to share with you all my journey. As soon as my 12th grade was completed, I had my all options open in front of me. I had to decide which college and which course, like BCom or BBA or BAF or BFM. I had my father's business. My father's in the restaurant business. I had opportunities to go overseas and study undergraduation. I could study pretty much anything that I fancied. I had all the support from home. So what happened is, after my 12th, I landed up giving a lot of entrance exams because I myself was unclear. So I gave the hotel management exam called IHM because my father is in that space. Contemplated taking up CA because in commerce that was the best out of everything, and I had scored extremely well in accounts in my 12th. I had the option of waiting and eventually giving only MBA. There was a college which had its BSc in actuarial science, and I gave an entrance over there as well. So I did a variety of different things. But finally, I had a family friend who was studying ACCA in London and had just completed it, was planning on coming back to Mumbai, working in one of the big four. And he suggested, why don't you do ACCA? I'll coach you for the first few papers. At the end of the day, I landed up securing admission in HR in a course called BFM, and I took up ACCA and I just dove into it. Now, when I started ACCA, unlike today where it's well known and there are so many people who can guide you and counsel you, that time there wasn't much. So I basically just landed up doing each paper one after the other. The difference is because today everybody has a choice and there is a sequence which is recommended that you should do this paper first, then this paper. I just went ahead with the normal order. Also, back then the exams were held every 6 months, every June and December. I don't know why we just decided I'm going to give 3 papers every 6 months. No thought put behind it. Just let's, give the exams and pass. When I started studying for the first 3 papers with college. I don't know, because there was nobody around me to tell me how difficult or easy it is or how much time I should spend or what I should do. I just sort of took up everything together. I gave my first 2 attempts, which is the first 3 papers, which I cleared, then the next 3 papers, which again I cleared, and then I started working as well. So my schedule used to be morning college, then throughout the day, I spoke about this in another video. Throughout the day, I would go to my, what we call articleship or internship. I would go to the client's place. I would travel on different audits. And then I would come home in the night and then decide to study based on what the requirement was. I would always be clear about how much I had to study because I had to figure it out. How much of the syllabus is still pending, how many chapters are still pending, and how much time I would take to absorb it all. I could balance the studying for ACCA as well as the social life comfortably. And then I spent the rest of my 2 years in BFM following this routine. College, work the whole day, and then study or socialize or do both together. I landed up clearing the exams almost consistently every 6 months. I landed up gaining 2 years of experience in this, and I don't know, it never really bothered me about the fact that all these things were happening simultaneously, which today I've seen a lot of people complain about. A lot of people have concerns about that. How will I do so many things together? I remember towards the end, I had my last 2 papers of ACCA left, and the timeline was that I completed my graduation in April of this year. And then that June, I gave my last 2 papers of ACCA and I was done. And I remember telling myself that I took up ACCA when I was in college. So all our formal and mandatory education of school and college and anything you picked up in college, I was done with it all. And for the first time in my life, I had completed what I called my education, and anything I wanted was now going to be voluntary rather than mandatory. After that, I started looking for different profiles. I was interviewed at obviously Deloitte, KPMG. Deloitte, I was interviewed for due diligence. KPMG, I was interviewed for IFRS, which is accounting advisory. PwC, which I finally took the job, I was interviewed for pricing, all because of my ACCA qualification. I started working at PwC. I completed a 1.5 years over there, and that in that process, I realized that if somebody like me with relatively less guidance was able to complete ACCA, was placed in the Big Four at the same level as that of a CA, I realized that this was actually lacking in terms of knowledge in our student community, because I was the only one from many students who I knew who are taking these risks, taking these basic chances, and I was getting rewarded for it. So that's when we decided that, okay, this is required. Not only ACCA, but courses like CFA, CPA, CMA, all of these, people don't know as much as they should about it at the appropriate age. Most of us figure it out after a few years of experience, and you get exposure of the corporate world, that you realize that, oh, these things also have this kind of value. So if you were told early in college, we realized that a lot of students' lives could change, and that's how we eventually landed up starting Zell. This was the entire start to end, how I came across the ACCA, how I landed up making the decision, how I managed to study along with college and work, and then what happened after ACCA. So before we get into it, I'm sure many of you all know that we train candidates in the field of finance and accounts, especially for courses like ACCA, CFA, CPA, CMA, and IFRS. I'll leave the number below if you all want to reach out to us, not just for training, but from registration to whether you want guidance and counseling for whether these courses are right for you all or not.
Hi guys, I'm Rashesh Majatia and I'm an ACCA affiliate. In fact, I became an ACCA affiliate at the age of 20 while getting a few ranks along the way. And this is my student journey. So, like any other student out of their 12th grade, I was confused about what to do, but I was clear that I wanted to do something in the field of commerce. I decided that the CA qualification wasn't for me. So I was looking for some good options, and that's when I came across ACCA. After doing my basic research about the value, about how to go about with it, about the structure, I felt like it was the right choice for me, given that one of the reasons I didn't want to pursue CA was work-life balance. So after opting for ACCA, I began my journey, and in the start, it wasn't really smooth sailing because being an international qualification, I didn't really immediately understand what is expected from me, and I took a little bit more time than someone would have taken. But after a few papers went, once I joined Zell, once I got the right guidance, I found my rhythm. I started clearing papers. I made up for the lost time. And by the time I reached my last 2 skill level papers is when, I decided to take both of them together. That was the first time I was doing 2 papers together. And Zell told me, okay, why not go about with it? Why not try out, do papers? It's only upward from there. And another interesting that was happening at that point was that it was the first computer-based exam in India for ACCA papers. So up until that point, all I had ever done was paper-based exams. And this was my first time doing a computer-based exam. So just practicing the right way, doing all of it on Excel, preparing for the computer-based exams. And of course, the papers being finance management and performance management, the papers that I really enjoyed. These two resulted in something that I never expected. I got a rank in the paper of FM, and so much so that I also chose those 2 papers for my optional papers as well. So in my professional level, I appeared for APM and AFM. Even in that, when I appeared for my APM exam, I got my 2nd rank. And I simply realized that it's all about enjoying the studies and, managing time in the right way. Because at that time, I was also, of course, doing my bachelor's studies from K.S. Shroff College, and just juggling work along with work as in studies and your ACCA papers was one thing which was a task. Sometimes you had to do, no paper for an attempt when you have college exams or projects. Sometimes you had to do 2 papers together. Sometimes, just 1 paper every quarter. And the flexibility that ACCA gave made all the difference. And the support that I got from Zell, whenever I wanted tuition, whenever I had my doubts, that's what really made the difference at the end. And that's all about my student journey.
Hi, my name is Zen. I'm 22 years old and I'm an ACCA affiliate. So here's how my ACCA journey started. In 2017, I began my undergraduation degree at Jai Hind College, and I heard about ACCA. I wanted to know more about it. So me and my father met Pratham at the old Zell office at Nariman Point. We had an extensive conversation about my career and what I wanted to do ahead. I think that was a conversation that was a game changer in my career. I decided to pursue ACCA and go ahead with it. The plan was to complete ACCA over a period of 3 years with Zell, and that's exactly what happened. So when I started my first paper, it was with the other co-founder, Anant, who instilled a very good habit which I practice till date, which is reading. In the very first class, it was more of an in classroom and an out of classroom approach with Anant and Pratham both. I progressively completed each paper over the duration of 3 years, keeping a target of completing 4 papers every year. And by the third year, giving 5 papers and completing 13 papers overall. And the best part is I completed every paper in the first attempt. And I had 2 attempts where I gave 2 papers at once, clearing them together. Every paper had its own different approach. I always tried building a relation with faculties outside the classroom as well. Since most of the faculties at Zell were themselves at corporates, I tried understanding their job profile, asking for referrals, and that's exactly how I got placed at Grant Thornton. So I got placed via a placement drive at Zell at Grant Thornton. When I completed 5 papers, I joined Grant Thornton, the statutory audit team, working in financial services. So for a good 1.5 years, I managed completing the remaining 7 to 8 papers of ACCA while working at Grant Thornton. That 1.5 years was also my last year of degree college. And this actually taught me a very valuable skill of time management. So I learned how to cope with the extremes of a corporate and also clear my ACCA papers, which also, again, like I said, a very valuable asset in terms of time management. After completing my stint at Grant Thornton, I moved to consulting at EY. Again, financial services, where I had the opportunity to work with top banks and top insurance companies. And after my stint at EY, I realized I wanted to come back and work at Zell. So currently, I'm a product executive at Zell, working on several lines over here. So when I was pursuing my latter half of the ACCA papers and when I was working at Grant Thornton and EY, I developed a very good interest in financial instruments, the process of the banks I was working in, and the financial markets. And this persuaded me to begin my CFA journey. So currently, I am a CFA level 1 candidate due to appear in November. And going ahead, I plan to base my career around my ACCA qualification and my CFA qualification as well.
Last year, or in fact, on 31st December of 2020, we had just hit our 1,000 subscriber mark on YouTube. And today we are almost at 30,000. Thanks to so many of y'all who follow us, who genuinely find value in our content and are sharing it with others. We made a new goal that by 2022 end, we want to reach 100,000 subscribers. We want to 3x our growth. And it's only possible if y'all keep suggesting what more we can do to add value to you guys. Y'all keep sharing. So please do help us in spreading this channel. We've become one of the top finance and accounting training or counseling channels in the country. And we would like to continue doing this as long as it keeps helping you guys make career decisions.